In a remote African village, a little boy named Ikenna, born into poverty, was the constant subject of ridicule at school. His schoolmates laughed at his torn uniform, mocked his inability to afford school supplies and school fees, and jeered at his repeated failures in most academic subjects. His teachers, save for one, dismissed him as a lost cause. But Ikenna had an unusual talent. Numbers spoke to him. While his classmates struggled with arithmetic, Ikenna could solve complex equations in his head. His math teacher, Mr. Chibwezi, saw this brilliance and called him a diamond in the rough. At home, life was no better. Ikenna's father, Papa Ikenna, a humble farmer, worked tirelessly to pay his son's school fees, but often fell short. Despite the odds, he held on to one dream for his son: mastery of eche, a revered local strategy game that required razor-sharp numerical skills and a tactical mind. Papa Ikenna, once a local eche legend, had always aspired to compete in the National Eche Championship, but was held back by poverty. He poured his unfulfilled dreams into teaching Ikenna. By the age of 15, Ikenna was a prodigy. His skills transcended the small wooden eche board on their mud porch. When his school announced a competition to select a representative for the National Secondary School Eche competition, Ikenna hesitated. His father urged him to participate, saying, "Your gift will speak for you louder than their ridicule." When Ikenna expressed his interest to participate in the contest for selection of the school's representative, his classmates laughed. They mocked his audacity, calling him the failure with big dreams. But Ikenna entered anyway. In the school contest, the competition was brutal. One opponent tried to sabotage his moves by overturning the board mid-game, while another accused him of stealing strategies from Mr. Chibweze. Ikenna dismantled the reigning school champion, silencing the jeers of his classmates. Against all odds, Ikenna triumphed, stunning everyone. But the victory also fueled envy and resentment, and a group of older boys began bullying him relentlessly. At the local council level, Ikenna faced stiff competition, including a child prodigy, Chinedu, a boy from a rich family whose father was on the event's organizing committee. The boy's parents tried to intimidate Papa Ikenna, offering him money to convince Ikenna to drop out. But Papa Ikenna, proud and unwavering, refused. Ikenna triumphed, earning a spot at the state level. This victory made more enemies for Ikenna. The state championship was televised, a first for Ikenna, who had never seen himself on screen. Here, the stakes were higher, the opponents sharper, and the pressure immense. At this stage, Ikenna faced not just skilled players, but a calculated conspiracy. One of his fierce opponents, Okwu, the son of a wealthy businessman, came to the match with a carefully orchestrated plan. Midway through their game, an official approached the table, halted the match, and whispered to the head judge. After a few minutes, the judge announced, "Due to irregularities reported in Ikenna's qualifications, he is disqualified pending investigation." Gasps filled the room. Ikenna looked at his father, confusion and fear in his eyes. Papa Ikenna rose, pleading, "What irregularities? My son earned his place fairly." But the organizers dismissed him, pointing to a fabricated report claiming Ikenna had cheated during the local council level. Ikenna's math teacher, Mr. Chibwezi, who had traveled with them, tried to intervene, but his protests fell on deaf ears. Chinedu's father smirked from the crowd, his plan unfolding perfectly. Ikenna was escorted off the stage as tears streamed down his face. That evening, in the dim hotel room they could barely afford, Papa Ikenna sat in silence, his head in his hands. Ikenna sobbed quietly, his heart heavy with shame and despair. For the first time, he whispered, "Maybe I'm not meant for this after all." But Papa Ikenna, though broken, refused to let his son give up. "We don't leave the board until the game is truly over," he said, his voice trembling. The next morning, as the competition continued without Ikenna, a twist no one could have predicted occurred. a housekeeper, an elderly man who had overheard everything, approached the organizers with evidence, a recording on his phone. He had accidentally captured Chinedu's father colluding with Okwu's father to bribe some officials and coaching Okwu to accuse Ikenna of cheating. The recording created a storm. Some of the corrupt officials, now exposed, were suspended as the organizers scrambled to save face. The organizers publicly apologized to Ikenna and reinstated him into the competition, but the damage had been done. The emotional scars were fresh, and the crowd's murmurs were divided. Some cheered his return, while others doubted his legitimacy. Papa Ikenna, though proud, feared that the ordeal had shaken his son's confidence. He knelt before Ikenna, holding his face gently. "They tried to break us, but the board is waiting. Show them who you are." The final match at the state level pitted Ikenna against a 16-year-old girl named Amina, a prodigy known as the Queen of Numbers. The game was a nail-biter, with dramatic twists that left spectators on edge. In a stunning final move, Ikenna outmaneuvered Amina, earning his place in the national finals. Amina happily conceded defeat with a handshake. The grand stage in Abuja was a dazzling arena of lights and cameras, but Ikenna's past haunted him. Whispers followed him everywhere, and the media dug into the state-level incident, casting doubt on his integrity. Ikenna defeated all the opponents he was matched with until it was the final game between him and Jamal, a three-time reigning champion. Midway through the game, Jamal claimed that Ikenna's moves mirrored a pre-banned eche, mysterious moves which was against the competition's rules of play. The crowd turned hostile, booing Ikenna as officials paused the game yet again. Ikenna, overwhelmed by the weight of the accusations, broke down in tears. Cameras captured the moment. A small boy, once mocked for his poverty, wrongly disqualified at the state level, now humiliated on a national stage. Papa Ikenna's heart shattered as he watched helplessly from the sidelines. Just as all seemed lost, Amina, the Queen of Numbers, a rival he had defeated earlier at the state level, stepped forward. She addressed the judges boldly. "I played Ikenna. His moves are unique and unmatched. You can accuse him, but you cannot deny his brilliance." Her words silenced the crowd. The organizers stood down the game for an hour to look into the accusation. After reviewing the games Ikenna had played, starting from the state level till the present game, the organizers absolved him of the accusation and resumed the game. Inspired by the decision, Ikenna wiped his tears, rose, and resumed the game. The last moments of the game were tense. Ikenna, with renewed determination, began to play not just with skill, but with a ferocity fueled by the desire to prove his worth. Jamal underestimated him, growing overconfident and rushing his moves. In the final seconds, Ikenna executed a never-before-seen triple-layered maneuver, a strategy so ingenious it left the judges and audience stunned. The arena erupted in applause. Ikenna had won the grand prize of $100,000. Papa Ikenna rushed to the stage, embracing his son with tears streaming down his face. "You've made our dream come true," he whispered. Back at school, Ikenna was celebrated as a hero. Classmates who once scorned him now sought his friendship, but he remained humble. Papa Ikenna used part of the prize money to rebuild their home and fund Ikenna's education. But Ikenna's life trials didn't stop there. Stay tuned for the next episode.